So the seventh aspect of the sufficient grace is contentment providing grace. So Paul later writes, I have learned to be content. So he writes about his life of abundance and life in which he lacked everything. He was naked, he was hungry. So he says, through God's strength, I have learned, I have disciplined myself to be content in all circumstances. So this is a gift from God. Being content in all situations is not natural. So people are not content. So they say, the rich people, when asked, when will you be satisfied? When will you be content? They will always use the phrase, little more is enough. So the little more never happens. They continuously pursue to get richer, richer and richer. And that goal is never achieved. But Paul says, I am content. And when he writes to Timothy, he says, contentment with godliness is great gain. So God's grace makes me to be content. So being content means I am not comparing myself with others. Discontentment comes because I try to compare myself with others. So in the parable of talents, one got 5, another got 2, another got 1. Probably the 1 talented man was envious of 2 talented men, envious of the 5 talented man. Why he got little? Since he was not content, he could not contribute. But the 2 talented man did not compare himself with 5, went ahead and he earned 2. So contentment with godliness is great gain. So when you say godliness, godliness is about the spirituality, knowing God and making God known. So knowing God means being blessed by meditating the word of God day and night. That gives contentment. Having intimate relationship with God by prayers. Thanking God always. Thanking God always in all circumstances. So that gives contentment. So being grateful makes us content. So God has blessed us with so many things which most of the people in the world do not have. So that gratefulness should lead us to contentment. And this gratefulness and contentment will lead us to generosity, being generous to others. Because God has been gracious to me, I have to be gracious to others. That brings great contentment. That brings great cheerfulness. That brings great joyfulness. So when Lord said, my grace is sufficient for you, Paul realized he could be content in all circumstances. Because God's sufficient grace is more than enough. He doesn't need anything else. He can rest in peace. He need not be afraid about the future. He need not be afraid about the results. These are all taken care by promise-keeping God, faithful God. So he was content. Sufficient grace means the grace that provides contentment, that provides cheerfulness, joyfulness, that generates generosity and gratefulness in us. May God bless you.